Dear Leo, radiant soul of the zodiac, seeker of truth and bearer of light, can you feel it too? Something beyond logic, something ancient and electric in the air. If you're watching this now, let me tell you what I believe with every cell in my body. You didn't click on this video by accident. The universe brought you here because your name has just been whispered across the stars. This is not just another horoscope reading. This is a summons. A sacred moment. A call from destiny itself, because on June 9th, destiny comes to collect. And when it does, it doesn't knock gently. The energy around this day is unlike anything you felt this year. And Leo, you of all signs are being asked to rise, to remember, to reignite the part of you that came here with a purpose too powerful to ignore. Whether you felt restless lately, waking from dreams that feel like echoes of another lifetime, or you've been noticing strange synchronicities, repeated numbers, deep moments of déjà vu, that's not coincidence. That's alignment. June 9th marks a karmic checkpoint, a cosmic portal designed to bring resolution, revelation, and rebirth. For some of you, it may arrive as an opportunity you thought had passed you by. For others, it may be a conversation, a closure, a long overdue breakthrough in your finances, health, or relationships. But in all cases, the message is the same: you are being called forward. This is the lucky day that can change everything, but only if you say yes. And I want to thank you, sincerely, for being here. Your presence in this moment is powerful. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe, it deepens your resonance with the eternal mindfulness community, and tells the universe that you are choosing to step fully into your light. I don't take that lightly, and I want you to know that your support fuels this channel and allows these sacred transmissions to keep flowing to you. But more importantly, Leo, you'll want to stay with me all the way through this message, because what's about to be revealed is nothing short of extraordinary. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been unsure about your next step, this reading will give you the clarity you need. So let me ask you something, dear Leo. What fire inside you pulled you here today? What part of your soul is ready to be remembered? Leave a comment below saying, "I'm ready to walk through the portal," if this message already speaks to something deep within you. Don't hold back. Your voice is part of the energy we're weaving here, and by declaring your readiness, you're stepping into conscious alignment with what's coming next. Stay close. What we uncover in the next few minutes may just shift everything you thought you knew about your path. When we speak of Leo and June 9th, we're not just referencing a date on a calendar, we're stepping into a rare intersection of celestial influence and personal transformation. The energy here is rich, complex, and deeply charged. With the Sun, your ruling force, forming potent aspects to both Jupiter and Uranus, the sky itself seems to ask you, are you ready to expand beyond your current self, and break free from the patterns that no longer serve you? Jupiter's influence brings a sense of magnification. It doesn't whisper, it amplifies. It takes whatever is already present in your consciousness and stretches it until you cannot ignore it anymore. If there are desires you've buried, truths you've postponed, or potentials you've dimmed to stay comfortable, this planetary push will stir them to the surface. You may feel restless, even agitated, but this is the kind of discomfort that precedes growth, like a seed cracking open beneath the soil, uncertain yet inevitable. Then comes Uranus, the planet of awakening, change, and disruption. But not all disruption is chaos. Sometimes it's grace disguised as uncertainty. Uranus energy often feels like lightning, it strikes without warning, it's impossible to prepare for, and yet it leaves you forever changed. This is the kind of energy that knocks at the door of your inner fire and demands, don't just exist, live brilliantly, and live truthfully. Now, layer this with the numerology of the number 9. This number is the final digit in the cycle, the edge of transformation before everything resets. It represents endings that are not losses, but liberation. It asks us to release what is complete, to clear the space for what is about to be born. And when June 9th holds this vibration, especially for Leo whose energy is already wired for greatness, expression, and courage, it becomes a moment where your past, present, and potential collide in one focused breath. You may notice strange dreams in the nights leading up to this day. Dreams that feel vivid, circular, or hauntingly familiar. That's because the subconscious begins to stir when energy is this strong. Time may bend. You might see repeating numbers like 111, 505, or 999, feel sudden waves of nostalgia or urgency, or have moments that seem to echo memories you don't consciously recall. These are not coincidences. They're your awareness expanding, your perception stretching beyond the visible. There's an ancient idea that before a great shift, life begins to mirror itself, that the outer world reflects the inner preparation. If you've been feeling like events keep looping, like you're reliving emotional themes or seeing the same obstacles return in different forms, this is your signal. You're not stuck, you're being shown what is unfinished, not to punish you, but to free you. The moment you recognize the loop is the moment you gain the freedom to step out of it. That's why it's so important to be intentional on days like this. Surround yourself with color frequencies that awaken courage and clarity: sun-kissed golds, soft copper, and radiant white. These aren't just aesthetic choices, they influence how you feel and how you respond to the world around you. In the same way a mantra can shift your inner vibration, color can tune your emotional frequency. Choose to wrap yourself in the tones of strength and renewal. So if your body feels a little more alert, your mind more reflective, your heart more tender than usual, honor that. These are not random sensations. They are invitations. You're being reminded that your life isn't just something you survive, it's something you sculpt. And Leo, you've always had the fire. June 9th is simply the breath that fans it into brilliance. In the gentle unfolding of June 9th, the cosmic focus shifts into the tangible realms of work, money, and personal value. And yet, for Leo whose identity is often closely tied to contribution, recognition, and leadership, this is more than a conversation about material gain. It's an invitation to realign with the worth you've carried all along, even when the world didn't yet reflect it back to you. You may notice opportunities arising seemingly out of nowhere. An old colleague reaches out with a new proposition, a side project you had once shelved suddenly gains traction, or a long-forgotten debt makes its way back to you with surprising timing. These events aren't just lucky breaks. They're reflections of the quiet effort, the disciplined persistence, and the unseen energy you've been building for months, even years. The cosmic wheel turns, and now it's your season to receive if you're open to it. But here's where many people unintentionally close the door. They doubt. They shrink. They tell themselves stories like, "I'm not ready, I don't deserve that," or "it's too good to be true." And without realizing it, they block the very abundance they've been calling in. You see, abundance isn't just about numbers in a bank account or titles on a business card. It's an energy, a way of relating to yourself and the world. It begins with the belief that you are worthy of more than just survival. You are worthy of flow, fulfillment, and ease. There's a timeless teaching that says, when the hands let go, the palms open to receive. In practical terms, that means making space mentally and emotionally for what's new. This is the perfect time to reevaluate how you're holding your work life, your money habits, and most importantly, your self-worth. Are you clinging to financial structures that no longer serve you? Are you spending your days in places that drain you rather than expand you? Are you waiting for validation before pursuing that quiet creative dream you've carried for too long? June 9th offers a window to shift these patterns. The planetary alignments suggest fresh movement, especially for those who are willing to act from courage rather than fear. This might mean taking a small risk, submitting that pitch, reaching out to someone you admire, or finally charging what you're truly worth. It might mean trusting your inner guidance even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Because abundance doesn't always arrive wrapped in certainty, often, it arrives through your willingness to believe before you see. And while external opportunities matter, this is also a powerful moment to heal your inner relationship with money. Reflect on how you speak to yourself when money is tight. Pay attention to how you feel when you receive. Do you resist, deflect, or dismiss? These small habits matter more than you think. They shape the frequency of your field, and the field always responds to how you hold yourself. You were never meant to beg for blessings, Leo. You were meant to embody them. The flame within you, the fire of your purpose, is a magnet when you allow it to burn unapologetically. So if a gift appears on your path this week, don't second-guess it. Say thank you. Say yes. Receive it with grace and the quiet knowing that it's arriving right on time. And if this message already speaks to something you felt building inside you, leave a comment and write, I am worthy of abundance. Not just to affirm it aloud, but to anchor it deep within your being, because sometimes, writing it is the first act of receiving. Love, for you dear Leo, has never been a quiet thing. It roars, it blazes, it longs to be seen and felt in its full expression. But even the brightest flame can sometimes flicker behind protective walls. You've always carried a deep capacity for love, generous, bold, and unwavering, yet over time, the heart can learn to hide. Perhaps to guard itself from being hurt again. Perhaps because the world told you that vulnerability is weakness. But on June 9th, something shifts. The emotional armor you've worn so gracefully may begin to feel heavy. The longing to feel seen for who you really are, not just admired, but truly known, will rise like a tide that refuses to be silenced. This day carries a unique vibration, one that brings truth to the surface even if that truth is inconvenient or bittersweet. The planetary alignments act like mirrors, reflecting back the authenticity of our connections. That could mean a sudden return of someone from your past, someone whose presence never fully left your energy field. Or perhaps, someone entirely new arrives but feels oddly familiar, as if you've shared lifetimes of recognition in the blink of an eye. Encounters like these are not always about romance in the traditional sense. Sometimes, they appear as soul contracts, brief, intense moments that awaken something in you that's been asleep for too long. This is also a time when relationships on shaky ground will be asked to reveal their truth. The dynamic of either grow or go becomes more prominent. If you've been avoiding difficult conversations, they may naturally unfold now. Not as a threat, but as a clearing. Honesty becomes the currency of connection, and anything that has been built on illusion will begin to dissolve. This process is not meant to be harsh, it's a rebalancing. Like pruning a plant to encourage fuller growth, sometimes love requires space to breathe. From a deeper perspective, this window of time is a practice in releasing attachment to outcomes. Just as the moon waxes and wanes without resistance, our relationships evolve through seasons. We can't force closeness, nor can we prevent separation when it's time. What we can do is remain open, present enough to receive love without clinging, and grounded enough to let it go without resentment. This openness is not passive. It is, in fact, the greatest form of courage, to keep the heart soft, even when it has known ache. To allow tenderness to live beside strength. And Leo, you are more than capable of that kind of bravery. Your sign teaches others how to love fully, how to shine without shrinking, how to risk being seen. But now, you're being asked to do that for yourself, not perform love, but embody it. Not prove you're lovable, but trust that you always were. If you've been waiting for a sign to reopen your heart, this is it. If you've been afraid that love might hurt again, remember that pain is not the end of the story, it's part of the unfolding. Let your love be less about what you get, and more about what you're willing to give and receive in honesty. Write in the comments, "I open my heart to true love," if you feel ready to let go of control and simply trust what's unfolding in front of you. There is a freedom in that surrender, not because you've given up, but because you've given in to the flow, to the timing, to the natural dance of connection. And somewhere in that openness, the right hearts will always find their way to each other. When the emotional body begins to shift, the physical body listens. After exploring the truths of your heart, it's only natural that your system, nervous, digestive, energetic, would begin responding in quiet but unmistakable ways. On June 9th, as planetary alignments press gently but firmly into the rhythm of your days, your body becomes more sensitive to everything: food, thoughts, emotions, even sound. This is not a signal of weakness, but a call to deeper awareness. Just as the heart needs honest connection, the body craves respectful care. What you feel is not discomfort for the sake of disruption. It's your body asking for your attention, not your judgment. The ancients knew that clarity of mind and strength of spirit begin with purification. But purification doesn't mean force. It means listening. If your system feels heavy, bloated, tense, or fatigued, consider this not a problem to fix, but a message to receive. Something within you is ready to be released, maybe old stress patterns, maybe unprocessed emotions that have taken residence in your gut or your breath. The body, after all, is where we store what we don't yet know how to let go of. This is a moment for gentle renewal. Start small. A warm glass of lemon water in the morning isn't just a detox ritual, it's an offering to your body that says, "I'm here for you." Choosing lighter, cleaner foods isn't about restriction, it's about alignment. When we eat with awareness, when we move with intention, when we breathe like each breath is sacred, we return to a quieter truth that health isn't a destination, it's a relationship. Your nervous system may be particularly active now. You might find yourself feeling more reactive to sound, overstimulated by noise, or emotionally tired without knowing why. This is natural when your body is adjusting to internal shifts. Give yourself permission to step away, to unplug, to walk slowly under the trees or stretch in silence as the sun rises or sets. These aren't luxuries, they're essentials. Silence is not emptiness, it's where the body relearns its own rhythm. The philosophy of balance teaches us that anything pushed to excess becomes its opposite. Overwork becomes stagnation. Overthinking becomes fatigue. Even overdiscipline can become a form of resistance. So in this season, allow your practice to be rooted not in perfection but in presence. Let your wellness routine be one of kindness, not control. If you miss a day, begin again. If you forget to nourish yourself, return gently. There is no punishment in falling short, only opportunity in noticing. Soft color tones can support this inner shift. Surrounding yourself with fresh green, pale blue, or pearl beige may help reset your energy field, not because colors have magic on their own, but because you respond to the feeling they evoke. Light green invites growth. Blue soothes the mind. Beige brings you back to neutral. Notice how your body feels around color, and let that guide you more than trends or rules. And finally, remember that the body is never separate from your journey. It is not an obstacle to enlightenment or a shell to transcend. It is the very place where transformation becomes real. Every act of nourishment, every pause to rest, every choice to move with care is a sacred moment of affirmation. I belong here, and I am worthy of feeling well. If you feel this truth settling into you today, write it below, say it out loud, write it in the comments, or whisper it to your reflection. I care for my body with love. That simple vow, offered without force, becomes the seed of all healing. As the body settles and the heart softens, what rises next is often more subtle but no less powerful. It is the whisper of intuition, the flicker of insight, the quiet sense that something within you is starting to remember. On June 9th, the energy around you becomes more refined, more precise, like tuning a radio that suddenly picks up a clearer frequency. And what you may begin to hear is not a voice outside of yourself, but one that's been with you all along, the voice of your own inner knowing. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun, light is not something you chase, it's something you radiate. And yet, even the sun goes through phases. There are times when your light feels focused and clear, and others when you're being called to go inward, to renew the source of your brightness. This day invites that inward shift, not as a retreat, but as a recalibration. Your ability to lead, to inspire, to create, all of it flows from your ability to stay connected with what's real inside you. You may notice bursts of creativity that seem to come from nowhere, a poem, a vision, a fully formed idea that drops into your awareness like a gift. These moments are not random. They're the result of being more open, more attuned, more willing to pause long enough to receive. When you create from that space, the outcome matters less than the energy behind it. You're not performing. You're expressing. And that expression, unfiltered and unforced, has the power to move others in ways logic never could. There is also a quiet strength in the way your presence can affect a room now. Your words might carry more weight. Your silence might feel more meaningful. Even your touch, a simple gesture, could bring comfort to someone who didn't even know they needed it. These are not superpowers in the cinematic sense. They are simply the natural result of living in alignment. When your actions and your awareness flow in the same direction, healing happens almost effortlessly, not because you tried, but because you showed up with clarity and care. One of the most grounding practices during this kind of energetic opening is reflection. Not overthinking, not analysis, but spacious reflection. Writing in a journal, for instance, not to solve problems but to observe what's present. Giving yourself time to write about how you feel, what images or phrases linger in your mind, what your body is noticing. These entries may seem small in the moment, but they become maps. When you look back later, you'll see patterns. You'll see growth. You might also consider writing a letter to your future self 10 years from now. Not a wish list, but a message of recognition. What do you hope you've remembered by then? What values do you want to carry forward? What moments of today do you want that future version of you to never forget? Writing this way can deepen your sense of direction, not because you've figured everything out, but because you've reconnected with your intention, and intention is the most honest compass we have. And as you navigate these days, subtle tools can help anchor your energy. Wearing a stone like sunstone or golden citron is not about magical thinking, it's about resonance. These stones carry warmth, vitality, and focus qualities that mirror what's already alive in you. Their presence reminds you to stand tall, stay grounded, and trust your journey even when the next step isn't fully visible. If this resonates with you, if something deep inside is stirring as you read this, let that be enough. You don't have to explain it. Just honor it. And if you feel ready to say it aloud, or even write it below as an affirmation to yourself and this shared space, simply say, I remember my soul's purpose. That remembering, even if incomplete, is more than enough to begin. And now, dear Leo, we come to the stillness after the flame, the space where everything you've just received begins to settle, not only in your mind, but in your body, in your choices, and most powerfully, in your intention. What you've heard today was never meant to be passive guidance. It was an offering, a mirror to remind you of the fire that was never lost, only waiting to be reawakened. June 9th is not a date to wait for. It is a threshold to walk toward, with eyes open and heart steady. You were never meant to tiptoe around your brilliance. You were born to claim it fully, quietly, and without needing anyone's permission. The themes we've explored: the return of clarity, the release of limiting beliefs, the sacred expansion of love, the realignment of health, and the stirring of your higher mission, are not just events of one day. They are practices. And like any meaningful practice, they deepen over time, not through perfection, but through devotion. So I ask you gently, what will you take with you from this? Will you allow yourself to believe in the timing of your transformation? Will you slow down enough to listen when intuition whispers? Will you treat your dreams as something more than decoration, but as sacred instructions? These questions are not rhetorical. They are invitations. If you truly knew that your actions this week could shape the next season of your life, how would you show up differently? What would you stop putting off? Who would you forgive? What vision would you finally allow yourself to pursue? These are the moments that define the quiet heroes of the world, the ones who don't wait for guarantees, but move anyway, because something inside them says, I'm ready. Let this be the moment you say yes to your own light, not just conceptually, but practically. Maybe it means starting your mornings with mindful silence. Maybe it's saying no to what drains you, even if it disappoints others. Maybe it's writing that first sentence, opening that door, sending that message. Whatever your next step is, trust that it's enough. You don't have to leap into greatness, you just have to lean into truth. And before we close, let me say this from the heart: thank you. Thank you for watching, for receiving, and for being part of this space. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, you're not just supporting a channel, you're supporting the deeper movement of conscious living. Your presence gives this space its meaning, and it means more than you know. If today's message touched something in you, even quietly, I invite you to reflect with this one simple affirmation: I allow myself to shine. And if you feel called to share that with our community, leave it in the comments below. What part of your light are you finally ready to stop dimming? What old story are you willing to lay down, so your next chapter can begin? If this video inspired you, please consider liking and subscribing. It's not just about numbers, it's about building a space where more people can remember who they truly are. Share this message with someone you love, because you never know whose life your light might reach today. And until next time, carry this truth with you: your power is not loud, but it is unmistakable. You are not becoming someone new. You are simply returning to who you've always been. With all my heart, thank you for being here. We'll meet again soon. In another alignment, in another breath, under the guidance of stars.